Hey everyone, how's
Hey
everyone doing?
everyone, welcome back. What's up, Francisco?
Hey Manny, great to see you. Great to see everybody. Already seeing some folks dropping in the chat from all over, it seems like. Very exciting to see.
Awesome. People are
Sweet.
guessing at what we're going to talk about. More agent builds.
Yeah, we had a lot of great feedback from our last session of people like it was really exciting. It just like a lot of like great questions came up. There was like people having conversations about what they were building. People were helping each other out in the chat. So we're hoping to kind of keep that going. And again, a lot of feedback around kind of like more hands-on building, which I'm very, very excited. Mandy's going to be kind of showcasing a little bit more about that, which we're very excited to see. And then, yeah, there's just a lot more activities going on here at Replit. It's been great to meet everybody. I'm seeing folks from Greece, Portugal, California. Speaking of California, we actually have an event this Saturday. We're just about at capacity, and there might be a few extra spots there. We're having a hackathon with Stripe and SV Angel, which we're very excited to be hosting. And then earlier this week, we actually had one in New York City as well with Revenue Cat, which is a lot of fun. The team has been having so much fun getting to meet the community just globally, really. And what we're hoping to do is have a lot more events coming up soon. Rumors of a headquarters event next month here in Foster City. So hoping we can welcome some folks out here. And if anyone's ever interested in hosting their own event in their own city, let me know. I'm on Twitter, YouTube, anywhere you want. Just send me a message. I'd love to connect with you. We're basically creating infrastructure to kind of set up our community for success. And yeah, very excited to kind of dive into those sort of things. But yeah, very excited. Here with Manny, who has just been an incredible Replit ambassador, helps us do all sorts of amazing things. And yeah, we'll let him answer kind of that first question. I love it.
Hey, Francisco, thank you. Welcome, Zane. Well, we're going to be doing some demoing. We're going to be doing some building. We're going to be doing some live brainstorming. A lot of good stuff. Francisco, I'm wondering, how do people keep up with all of the events that you're putting on? What's the best place to be getting that info? Is there like a newsletter, or is there like, or should you just follow you on social?
Yeah, socials for right now is probably the fastest way to kind of keep up and going. I think the Replit Twitter is doing awesome stream of just kind of what we're up to. What I'm hoping to do is very soon actually build out a newsletter where some of the folks that are joining for these chats, like especially the ones who've actually registered and jumped in, it sounds like they're very interested. We've seen a lot repeat folks that are kind of coming back. So newsletters coming out very, very soon before the end of the year, and I think it'll be very consistent moving forward. So yeah, making it as easy as ever.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, definitely. So if you get an opportunity to join a live event, definitely do it. And yeah, I like the idea of people hosting their own events. It's just so much fun just to get people together and be building. It's like really cool. Very neat. Anything else, Francisco, before we jump in?
Yeah, a couple of questions that I've seen just coming in and also via email is if this event was recorded. Yes, it will be. Right now, Manny has been kind enough to help us kind of like manage all the logistics and everything else, but our YouTube channel will be featuring these very, very soon. So probably early next week, you'll be able to see all the YouTube videos themselves. And then in the future, we'll continue to record these and kind of organize as we go.
Yeah. And then if there are any resources that I show, like templates or anything like that, I'll be sure to include that in a follow-up email as well.
Awesome.
Cool. All right. With that, thank you very much, Francisco. Let's jump into today's content. So, again, the benefit of this being live is that you get to ask whatever questions come to mind for you. I've got a couple of prepared remarks and items and builds, but I'm going to be monitoring the chat, Francisco, as well. So, if you've got any questions, any comments, please drop it in the chat. So today we're jumping off where we left off last week. And if you weren't here last week, we were talking about connectors, a very easy way for you to connect data and tools to your applications, agents, and automations. And one of the demos people really seem to like, which was a sales dashboard demo. So what I did is I built a custom ESPN style type of dashboard on top of HubSpot data using the HubSpot connector. And that really seemed to have hit a nerve. And so I said, like, why don't we just double down on RevOps and sales and talk about what I'm seeing in terms of vibe coding in the sales space and in the marketing space. I don't think a lot of people are appreciating. So that's what we're gonna do today. I've got one additional build to demo for everybody, just to give you some inspiration and to kind of show you what you can do in Replit with connectors. But first, I'd like to jump off with a little bit of context and tell you why I am so excited about vibe coding for sales and marketing professionals. First, what do we mean when we say vibe coding? What does that mean? For me, the way that I would explain it is giving the ability to non-technical people to build software with AI. So non-technical people, you use AI and you build custom software. And the big shift that I'm seeing here is that you have a lot of roles within companies that were once engineering dependent. So the big ones for me that I'm seeing are product managers, designers, etc., that needed engineering resources, and they're being freed up to build more and faster using vibe coding. And typically the process is something like you jump into a tool like Replit, you describe what you want in plain English, the AI builds the software for you, you review it, you test it, and you iterate alongside AI until you get something that you want. And typically, you're not touching any part of the code base. AI is doing that for you and then just showing you the end result. Like, is this what you were expecting? Please check it out. And the big benefits that I'm seeing here, I'm seeing every day, and why I'm so pumped about this trend is that it is empowering everyone to build. So this distinction of non-technical versus technical people, that is going away. We're all builders now. You're all builders now. I'm also seeing this accelerate cycles as well. What used to take 3 months is now taking 7 days. And I'm going to show you an example of that. I'm seeing people build the exact tooling that they want. So, previously SaaS off the shelf, everybody gets the same CRM. That's no longer the case with vibe coding. You build the CRM that you want that is going to be awesome for you. And it is drastically reducing cost. It's opening a lot of opportunities to build in sort of these long tail type of opportunities that before would have been impractical to go out and to hire a dev team to build. Now you can do that because you have vibe coding tools that are going to allow you to do that. And so the key thing that keeps coming to mind to me is there's no longer technical versus non-technical. We are all builders now. You are all builders now. And you're starting to see this. Different sort of folks are starting to echo this as well. This is a recent article. This is Figma CEO. And here's kind of the big headline here. It's, job titles are merging. So again, these job titles, like what's a product manager, what's an engineer, they're starting to merge because of AI. Now everybody is a product builder. And I'm absolutely starting to see that. Okay, so I talked about this being the case with product managers, definitely seeing this with product managers. So previously, a product manager would come up with some product spec, would send it to engineering, and the product manager reviews, updates the spec, sends it back to engineering. This is slow. This is really slow. This no longer has to be the case. Let me show you an example from somebody in our community that is showing you how they're doing it now. Let me play this clip for you right here.
And before the clip starts here, real quickly, I'm seeing a lot of great comments where folks are kind of talking about, literally, folks are kind of building as they go. Gabriel here is currently vibe coding an app while watching this while walking on my walk pad. So like anything is possible. And I think one of the things that Manny talks about here is like, I always hear that, right? I've been in tech for over, nearly 15 years. And it's like, I'm not technical. Like, oh, I have some really good ideas, but I'm not the technical person. Well, now you can be, or at least like building those prototypes to kind of like, get in front of a technical team. But more importantly, I'm seeing more and more people taking it all the way, right? They're creating their own projects, they're launching them live, and it's been like just incredible to see. So I think one of the like the bigger takeaways here is to kind of shift that mentality that I can't build or I'm not technical enough. You definitely are. I think it's one of the things that you're able to kind of just experiment and learn along the way. It's the fastest way to ever learn. I was talking to a friend of mine who was saying how like in the past you needed like 6 months of an education to kind of like get started, and now you kind of just get up and get going. So lots of an incredible opportunity, and it's like easier than ever. I'll pass back over to Manny.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to share this directly from my screen, and I'll turn on the system audio so that you can listen. And let me know, Francisco, if you can't hear this, okay?
Yep. We had a customer recently who had some needs around our API. They wanted to be able to create projects in our platform programmatically via API. And in the past, I would have sat with the engineering team on the technical side. How are we going to build this API-wise? The UX team, what's the user experience going to be? But actually, I was able to vibe code a solution which we were able to get in the hands of the customer, I think, within 3 hours of the call that we'd had with him, and get his feedback and iterate it from there. And actually, that vibe code app is going through our QA process, but it's actually going to be deployed to production. But just as an example of how we're able to move, I think, a lot faster as a product team.
Okay, so that's someone that I spoke to about a month ago. He's a product manager at a tech startup, and he's kind of explaining this concept that I'm referring to here. You're not going engineering anymore. You're working with the customer directly. You're vibe coding something, and then you send it to engineering. It's not that engineering is not necessary. Obviously, like they have to push it into production, and they have to make sure that it works well, doesn't break anything, but you're just moving so much faster in the iteration cycle, and product teams are really loving vibe coding for that. It's not just product teams. I'm seeing a lot more designers as well. Previously, what would happen with design? You would build something, you would get some Figma mockups, etc. You would send it to your web developer. They would send you something, you would review it, and then you would change the Figma mockups. And again, it's the cycle repeats again and again. A lot of different touch points. Now, I'm seeing designers go from Figma directly into a working application. Never been easier to do that. We actually have a Figma plugin in Replit, so that if you have a Figma file, it just ports right into Replit and it immediately starts building out the backend, and you can get up and running in an hour or so, greatly accelerating. And so that was what I was seeing as I'm talking to people about vibe coding as product managers and designers. And I think because these were the folks that were most engineering adjacent, they were the first ones to really adopt this vibe coding trend and really accelerate their workflow. But as of late, I'm seeing a lot of other roles that I wasn't expecting. Marketing and sales. And that's why we're here today. We're here to talk about sales. I'm seeing sales leaders and professionals also start to vibe code their own software as well. A couple of things that that's coming to mind. Custom prospecting tools. I actually built a tool like this that I'm going to demo a little bit later. I want to show you that. Custom sales dashboards. You saw that from last week. I'm going to show you this again. We're going to build on top of this. Event tooling. Francisco, this is right up your alley. If you want like a custom event experience, like think about it, like you have like a landing page, you can walk them through workflows, you can do prospect filtering, and when they sign up for the event, you can actually have them like answer different questions. How would that streamline your process? Marketing promotions. Actually, I want to show you another example. Okay, so this is Ab, and he is the chief revenue officer for a startup as well. And here's how his team is using Replit. Check this out.
We also use Replit when we go to events sometimes. So one of the first things that I actually built in Replit is, as you can imagine, you go to these big conferences and you're trying to gather people's attention. I built a small game using Replit, and that that allowed you to play Tetris, but using some of the more nuanced components of that conference for people to compete with. And I was able to spin that up sitting in the lounge waiting for my flight. So again, the kinds of things that you can do, and people really came and they were really drawn to looking at this. So putting my marketing hat on, you can use this as these one-off things, because we would not use our engineers to develop something like that. It doesn't make sense. But for me to be able to do that, to test it out, and if it doesn't work, well, it's that time I'm sitting in the lounge anyway, so it's downtime for me.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So a great example, like you're just hanging out in the lounge and you're like, hey, how can I get people interested in what I'm trying to sell them, or like to connect with me? You can spin up like an app, like as you're waiting for your event. And I saw somebody say that I've done 3 custom events sites, 1 production. A little hard to see, but you can see that as an example there. So that's kind of the phenomenon I'm seeing. Again, vibe coding is like big, and at first I just started with I just saw it with product managers. Now I'm seeing it more and more with sales and marketing professionals. I think it's going to be the entire firm. I know that there are certain firms that will mandate every department to start vibe coding stuff up. Like, whether that's finance, HR, those so many cool things that you can build on. And so today the focus is going to be on RevOps and sales. And I want to show you a couple of examples of ideas that are coming to mind for me. But I think, the key takeaway here is that you have the opportunity to build something that is unique to your process, your company, how you want to work. So I want you to see this as almost just inspiration, and to think about what you might build for yourself, because that's really the promise of all this tech, that you can build something that's super, super custom for you, like you could never do before. So with that, any questions that we want to field, or any comments we want to check out?
Yeah,
Francisco?
absolutely. So it sounds like oh, there might be a little bit of feedback here. Let me see. There we go. Let us know if the feedback's coming through. But that being said, I have a couple of questions about integrations and connections with Stripe. So there's something coming. We have a little bit of a beta going on. We're going to be pretty soon here. That's going to make it much easier to kind of process payments and connect via Stripe. So that's coming up very soon. And on the part here is also is there a way to make it easier to understand per projection? So yes, we're actually working on that currently. There's a couple different tools that already exist. Some of the folks. Looks like we are maybe echoing Manny. Any chance that is sorry, y'all?
You know what? Let me replace this. I bet you it's because I'm sharing my sound, which I don't have to do anymore. So let me do that. Entire screen, turn off. Okay.
Awesome.
How about now? Are we good now, guys?
Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah, okay. There we go. Awesome. Sorry about that.
Had to adapt on the fly. We're live. You can tell we're live, guys.
Awesome. But yeah, I'll kind of go back and say, I thought it was just me. So essentially, yes, there is a Stripe integration coming very, very soon that'll make it a lot easier to be able to essentially connect much easier, and process payments coming very, very soon. There's a beta releasing as well. So I think over the next month, you'll be able to see that and be able to kind of jump into there. The other thing that also kind of came up here was for usage billing. Is there a way to understand per project projection? We're working on that currently as well. One of our community members, Eric, actually has something that he's kind of vibe coded together. So that's kind of been a good little interim in between. That's been really, really cool to see. But yeah, so more on that coming soon. We hear you on the pricing side of things and being able to kind of predict what's happening. So it's one of those things that's like a complex problem to tackle, but we're trying to make it as easier than ever to be able to know kind of where you're going. And then Manny, one question for you here from the audience. When it comes to kind of using Replit, is there a way to kind of write better code from the start? Any tips or suggestions there?
Well, I'll tell you what works for me and the process that I follow. I typically try to spend a good amount of time up front chatting with AI about what I want, in particular if it's a build that I haven't done before. So I want to understand the key components. And so I'll hop into something like Claude and I'll say like, hey, Claude, I'm trying to build this. What are the different components that are going to come up? Do I need to connect to this type of API, this database, etc.? And I have a conversation with it. And so that gives me a lot of clarity, because the more that I understand the high level concepts, the better my output and result is going to be. And so I think there's a kind of a misconception with vibe coding that you don't have to understand anything about what you're building. I don't think that's the case. I think that vibe coding allows you to level up your thinking and to understand components at a higher level. So I still have to understand integrations connected into this data source, the fact that I need a database here, the fact that I need authentication, but I don't have to write the code necessarily, but I still have to understand those different components. And then in Claude, I'll also like try to detail break it down into smaller pieces and say, okay, what's the first piece that I have to tackle? Well, I have to tackle this part. And I'll show you in the demo how I did that for some of the builds. But like I tackle the easy part first, because I want to get like a low hanging fruit. And then I think about, okay, what's next? Like what's going to be next hardest? Okay, now I tackle that and tackle that. And then also before I kick things off in Replit, I'll typically ask my AI assistant, whether that's Claude or ChatGPT, for a sample prompt to kick things off in Replit. And so that works because I've had this conversation with Claude or with ChatGPT. The AI assistant has all this context and can write like a really nice prompt for Replit. And I usually say, like, I want you to write a prompt for Replit for me to kick things off, the things that I'm going to vibe code. So I think that's one thing that I'm seeing like a lot of folks kind of miss out on. Now, that's for me where I want to go. Actually, like I go slow to go fast. Like I take my time at the beginning, but it just helps me so much, because I'm prompting AI better, knows exactly what I want. So it gives me a better output. And then also because I've taken that time to really understand all the different components, I know how to debug things really, really quick. So when something goes wrong, I'm like, I've already done my research and my homework. And it's like, oh, that was probably in the storage part. I should have been using a SQL database rather than a blob database. Okay, cool. Now, and then I can just quickly debug. But that said, if you're just getting started, if you haven't, set up a Replit account whatsoever, I think that you just go to Replit and you just type in whatever comes to mind. So this is a nice thing about Replit. It's so easy to get started. And I think if you're just getting started, just go in here and type out whatever it is that comes to mind. So I would do that and say like, hey, I'm looking for, can I have a sales dashboard that plugs into HubSpot? That's really, really cool. And then I would drop that in, and then I would go here to improve. Oh, actually, I'm not sharing my screen. I keep doing that. Let's see. Sorry about that. I'm so excited to get to the content that I forget to share my screen.
And something that someone brought up here that I think is also a great point is overlooking the plan option on the prompt window. So that's a huge way to be able to kind of plan out what you want to build and how you want to build it, and kind of like a little bit about probably Mandy's going to share here in a second.
Yeah, one moment, please.
Yeah, since a lot of people
I'm already sharing.
like to go slow to go fast, like that a lot. So awesome.
Thanks. Sorry about that. Just got some technical difficulties here. Okay. Stop sharing screen. Let me go back here. Let me reshare this entire screen. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay, so like I said, if you're new to Replit, just go to replit.com and then just type something in, whatever you want. Like you saw, I just transcribed the message and says like, hey, I want a sales dashboard that plugs into not HubSpot, but HubSpot. And then you can click on this improve prompt, and Replit will flush this out a little bit more for you and give you a better sense of what it can build. So like here, I put in that prompt, and you can see here like a dynamic web-based sales dashboard that integrates with HubSpot. Thank you. CRM, core features. Here it is. Boom, boom. Visual reference. Boom, boom. And then just click on start and get things going. So again, if you haven't signed up a Replit account, let me drop in a URL for you as well here, so you can get a little discount if you've never set up an account. So let me drop that in. This will save you $10 or so. So let's see here. Okay, I'll drop that in. Set up your account and just start building.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's like folks didn't know there was an
Yeah.
improved prompt. Yeah, absolutely. One of the newer features, and there's a lot more kind of coming through, especially plan mode. Definitely recommend plan mode and checking that out.
And so you see here, here's our connector, and because I said connector, it knows like, oh, you want that connection. I already have it set up, but if you didn't, it would just take you to the login and you'd get set up. Then it's going to ask you like, hey, do you want to like fully build this out, Manny, or do you want to start off with design? If you just want to make sure you like the design is good and you want to move a little faster, I would go with design. Otherwise, just go into full build and you're good to go. But yeah, the improved prompt is super clutch. I like that quite a bit.
Awesome. Sweet. Yeah, no, it looks like folks are very interested in diving into the demos and everything else. But yeah, a little bit of kind of like how we got here and you know how we built these things out. Yeah, no, plan mode is cool.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Any other comments here? I think I saw this one here. I'm a beginner with Replit, but Replit better than Cursor. Okay, so it's a good question. I get that all the time. You know, my view is that you have two different types of vibe coding tools. You have vibe coding tools for professional developers, people that are accelerating, that already know software development, and they're going fast with AI. Cursor falls into that category. Claude Code falls into that category. You're already familiar with an IDE, terminal, you just want to zoom fast. And then there's another set of vibe coding tools that are for vibe coders, so people that are not technical primarily. And I think, I know Replit falls into that category. So I would say if you're a professional software developer, then Cursor is going to be the better tool for you. But if you're new to programming, if you're a vibe coder, then Replit is going to give you it's going a much better experience. In part because, like, for example, the connectors is something that you'd have to set up on your own somehow. You'd have to go out and get like API documentation. You'd have to go through OAuth kind of stuff. And Replit is abstracting that out and making it super easy. And there are a ton of examples like that in Replit that just smooth out the friction points if you're new to programming and to development. That's just going to make your experience so much better. So that's the distinction that I would make. And then again, if you're non-technical, you're just starting off vibe coding for the first time, you're going to love Replit. You know, the way that I would describe it is like, it's, you know, like if you're starting to drive, you want to start with an automatic transmission. You don't want to start with the stick shift, right? Like you want to keep it easy, power steering and everything. You know, later on, once you get really good at driving, okay, like maybe you get to the manual transmission, have a little fun. But if you're just getting started, stick with the automatic, and Replit definitely falls in that category.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Manny. And yeah, looks like folks are excited to see the demos and yeah, ready to go.
Awesome. Okay, cool. All right. So let me show you the two demos that I have here. Okay, so you know, the way I like to frame this is like, okay, so I think in selling, you know, there's the prospecting part, finding leads, and then there's the closing leads and tracking sales. So I thought it would be interesting to start off with that front end and start thinking about prospecting leads. And so, you know, the way that I approach this, and again, you know, going back to this concept that you get to build your own custom software, and you get to, you know, have your workflow exactly as you know, fits your style. And so I have this prospecting dashboard here. I call it a workbench, but essentially what I want it to be is I want it to be somewhere where I could do prospecting with the different techniques and options that I want as I'm prospecting. So here's a list of prospects. These are live prospects that I pulled in. If you're curious about how I got this information, I'm using another LLM tool for data enrichment. Happy to talk about that. Drop it in the chat. Can show you that. But I brought this in, And now I have these leads that I want to go through. So I think like, okay, now I have these leads. I like to go through my leads one by one. I'm not really like a mass prospecting type of guy. I like to like focus on a couple of like key leads. And I come from an enterprise sales type of background. That's just kind of what you do there. And so here's what I built so far. And here's a handy tip for those that are new to Replit. Here's the preview. So you're in Replit now. Here's what I'm building. If I want to change something, I can talk here to agent. If I want new tools, I can do that. But if I want to see what this would look like out in the wild, I can click here and go to the development URL. And now I get to see what, what this looks like in a deployed type of way. So a little bit easier to see, a little bit easier to demo. So I want to go into John. Okay, this is a new lead. John is at Robert Half. And then I'm pulling in some information about John. And I'm reading this, okay, doing some notes like, okay, cool. Looks like he's been there for a while. Might be a good fit for enterprise. And so now I'm going to put on my notes. Cool. What else might I want to do? I want to be able to review his John's LinkedIn. Go check that out. I can put that in. If I want X, I can drop that in there too. And after I review everything, what I thought would be helpful, at least for me, is to have just like a toggle that says like good lead, bad lead. Okay. And so now I have this toggle here that I asked for that just gives me like a 0 to 100 in terms of lead quality score. So I look at John, I'm like, okay, I like 90. Okay, cool. I'll take 90. Awesome. So now I have this prospect that I really like, and I want to follow up with him. But first, I know as a good sales professional, I have to make sure that I keep our central knowledge base updated, or else I'm going to get a call from my sales manager about why don't I have all my numbers in Salesforce or in HubSpot. So I built in this HubSpot integration that will now pump this information into HubSpot. So I'm not getting in trouble with my sales manager for not updating HubSpot. I'm not getting an email on Friday night. And if you're a salesperson, you've gotten that email before. So I want to check that out. So I built in a little link here, and I said, and this is something that I vibe coded too. I said, like, I want to be able to go to HubSpot and actually look at the prospects details on HubSpot. So I can do that here. And then here I can see John and all of the information that I ported in from my custom workbench. And again, this is starting in my workbench and then going to HubSpot. And you can see here that I've qualified this lead as 91%. And that's what I have here, 91%. I can change this 32% and again, sync to HubSpot, and that should change here as well. So if I refresh that, now it's 37%. So it's all synced up. So again, I get to have my own custom experience, but I'm also being fair to my team by updating all of the data in HubSpot. Okay, so I said that'd be cool. All right, that's cool. But what else can I do? And here's my process. I'm thinking like, it would be cool if it would be much more productive if, it would be more fun if, it would be more helpful if, and that's the framework that I have as I start building on this. So I said, it would be helpful if I can automatically generate an email for this prospect. So I like this lead. Let's put it at 88. Now I'm going to do an initial outreach. And that first email is always a little tricky for me. I don't know about you guys, but putting the email is rough. This is where I want a little bit of help from AI. And so here, what I've done is I'm leveraging Replit's OpenAI integration to bring in some intelligence to automatically generate an email for me. And so it's taking John's information that we have here. It's taking the company, the email, and it's putting together a custom email. Here's the subject line. Here is the content. And look, and let's even bring in like, Robert, you've been there since April 2023, your background plan. Okay. And here's a little bit of content. And here's the ask for a 15-minute minute meeting. I think that's pretty cool. In the comments, in the chat, I love for you to tell me how you would make this a little bit better. Like this is just kind of like a general like email generation thing, but I'm wondering how you might make this better. Okay. Then I say to myself, like, wouldn't it be cool if I could just port this over into Gmail and just be able to send it? And so then I just ask agent back in my development environment, this is back here, I just asked agent, I said, hey, agent, I would love for you to build out a functionality that when I click on it, automatically sends me to my Gmail account and puts in all of the information that I have in my workbench. So here you are. Here you see like John, the head, the subject line, the text, and then I got to update so that it says Manny here and send it along. So that is my custom prospecting workbench. Again, the idea is that I'm adding to it. I'm making it my own. You know, like I have a couple of other ideas in terms of how I might improve on this, but I would love to hear from the chat. You know, what else would you do here to improve this overall prospecting workflow? Or what do you think about this demo?
Absolutely. And while we wait for some folks to kind of drop in, I'm getting a lot of questions wondering from Yandi, also Vihire and Sam. Would love to see what was used for the data enrichment piece, or kind of like any details around that.
Oh, people want to see the data enrichment part. Okay. All right. I get it. That's hot. That's hot. Okay. Let me bring that up. Make sure I don't leak anything too sensitive here. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. So ultimately, what I wanted to, so I came into my tool and I said like, okay, I want to be able to import list of prospects CSV. And in that import, you're going to get a name, email, company title, emails, and some content about that prospect based on LinkedIn. So the question is, where do you get that? Well, you use AI for that. This is from our friends over at Exa. Exa, they started off as like an LLM search optionality. So if you wanted to build in search into your LLM, you can use Exa to go get those results and then bring it into your LLM and, have it, give you that context, because LLMs are trained at a particular point in time. So they don't have any relevant content. So if you want them to know what's going on right now, you build in the search functionality. Exa is an option for that. And I use Exa for that as well. But they recently came out with a new feature called web sets. So essentially what you can do is you can find a group of folks that meet your criteria. So here, for example, here's one. Like if you want to look for people, companies, but let's say that I want to see people, CFOs in recently acquired PEs. And here's where the AI is coming into play. Like typically what you would do is like you'd go and try to scrape like companies at PE, like people at PE firms. And then you have to try to find out which one of those companies were acquired. Not the case with Exa. Like you just type in like, I want CFOs that are companies that are recently acquired, and you get all of this cool detail. So you get names, company, title, you get their LinkedIn. Most of the time, this works pretty well for me. You get like some logic here as to whether or not it's a match. Acquisition date. How convenient is that? How long would that take you to find on your own? And then like acquisition amount, like the fact that you can even get that, awesome. And then, for this recent build, I did a search on like finance managers in Chicago, just wanted to kind of test out the functionality. And then you can add additional features and enrichment that's going to give you like that's, you have to pay for that. But then what I do is then I export this as a CSV, download this as CSV, and then I bring it into the application. So that's the data enrichment part. I think the other thing that you could do is you can come back into you can come back into this and add enrichment into this now that you already have the prospect list. So you can use Exa for that. You might use another service, but I might want to say like, okay, for John, or for Robert Half, do a quick search and tell me like the most recent big events that moved the needle over at Robert Half. I want to have that as content as well. But isn't that pretty cool? Isn't that like, it's amazing how much like these tools have just like streamlined the whole prospecting part. And I've been in, sales, I've been working with salespeople for a while. And I mean, it's just amazing. You can pull all that data so far. Like you're almost like prompting an LM in a way for like your favorite, most like specific leads. It's really cool. shout out to our friends over at Exa. If I have a referral link, I'll try to pull that up and share that with everybody. Let's see. Let's take a look at the chat here.
Yeah, I got some great suggestions coming in here. One from SA Fire. I would ask it to match the content and tone of each email to the caliber of the client, which I thought was really interesting. And I saw one of the community members also built something like that, where it would kind of like match the tone, which was really, really cool to see. I know there's an example out there.
That is a great suggestion. I really like that. Yeah. The other thing that I was thinking is when I drop notes into my workbench, to have that incorporated into the email generation as well. So I might say like, oh, I know Robert through Stacy over at Deloitte, and to drop that in there. And then the email generation would take that into account and drop that in the email as well. So I think that would be really cool. And again, for me, it's all about saving time. Like I already know this connection. I already wrote it down. Like, why do I have to copy paste that or like manually put that into an email? Like AI can do that really, really quick. And so that would be a good example.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Bassam also says adding pipelines and the opportunity value, which is, yeah, also great suggestion there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to show you a little bit more on that in the next demo. I think that's going to be more applicable there, but yeah, like you can expand on this. Like eventually I think you can have your own custom sales workbench with different tabs. Like you can have prospecting tab, pipeline management, handoff. So like once you close a deal, that handoff to the customer success team, there's often so much that goes on there. And I can see like a custom built tool in Replit that would be amazing for that. Here is a good question here. Is there a Clay connector in Replit? Technically, no. But Replit makes it pretty straightforward to integrate with Clay. And so why I say technically no is because a connector, the way that we think about it, is like a one-click experience for you. So actually, I keep forgetting to share my screen. Let me share my screen. Full screen. Okay. Because we think of connectors as one click. So it should be so smooth for you, right? You want to connect into your Confluence, boom, sign in, you're done. Clay, we don't have that set up just yet, but Agent knows a fair amount about the Clay implementation. So if you drop in like an export from Clay, or you set up a connection to your Clay spreadsheet, you'll be able to do some interesting things in Replit. And there was a really cool example that somebody did around that. If you go, let me look it up here. I'll plug to it now. But what they did is they built a, cool. So let me bring this up here and I'll just show it live. Okay, so this is Yusuf. I like him. Follow him on LinkedIn. He's cool. So he went into Clay and he built this really cool enriched data set. It's similar to Exa. So if you like Exa, you're going to like Clay. But then he went into Replit and he built this custom, let me make that larger. He built this custom personality dashboard. So like, it's like doing research on like things that these prospects have posted in X and in LinkedIn, and it's mapping their personalities. And he's got like this so like the data lives in Clay, but he's pumping all of that to a custom Replit dashboard. And so check this out. You have like the CMO at Google, and here's like the personality chart. Like here's like the different variables. Turns out this person is extroverted. He's highly conscientious. And so that tells you a little bit about how you would sell to this prospect. And this whole custom dashboard was built on Replit, again, using data from Clay, but this custom, like really cool experience is on Replit. Now, imagine building this for yourself and then imagine making this available to your entire team. How cool would that be? That would be amazing. And then imagine selling subscriptions to this. So you can like with Replit, we talk about making things easier. With the Replit, there's also authentication that we make super easy. So like that's native. And so you can put authentication on your application and you can start taking payments. A little bit more on that later on and future live streams about how easy we're going to make that. And then boom, you have a working application. How cool is that? I think that's so cool.
It's amazing. Yeah, actually, I like answered a couple of different questions that have come in, or different suggestions how to improve just by that kind of mini demo itself. So yeah, awesome to see.
All right, I'm looking at your chat here. Anything else that we need to call out?
I kind of talked a little bit about it. Gabrielle said follow-up email suggestions. So the agent will see if they responded or not and suggest a response to keep on that lead, which I think kind of like covered within that example as well.
Yeah, I would love to build out a sequencer, a custom sequencer in this dashboard, because that's always one of the, like, what's always been annoying for me is to keep track of emails and responses and like keep them like separately, because they're all mixed up with my own email. So I would love to have an email sequencer, and that, you know, for if you don't know what that is, it's like 5 emails that get shot out like in a row over like, say, like a period of time, like every day or every other day. And then be able to see like any responses, and then be able to respond directly in my client, in my custom app, because I have all the information there straight from my dashboard, not have to go into Gmail, wherever my email service is. So that's the other thing that I was thinking about. But yeah, you know, I encourage you, like, again, this is perfect. Like, you know, I would say, like, after this live stream, take a moment to jot down all of your ideas and like what would make your life easier as you're trying to do this. Put them on a piece of paper, and then think about which ones you want to go out and build. And I'll have a little bit more direction on that a little bit later in the stream. But that's a great suggestion.
Awesome. And going back a little bit towards the beginning, I got a great question here from the community about events tomorrow. Ryan asked about you know, what we're up to at the hackathon taking place in San Francisco. So actually, we were talking earlier about the Stripe integration that we're hoping to make things simpler, and you know, folks are asking when it's coming out. That's actually going to be one of our early beta opportunities to test that out. So for folks that are creating a business, you'll be able to kind of see the latest integration. And if you're interested in kind of scaling what you're already building, this will be a great chance to kind of see where it's going to next. And again, a very simple plugin to be able to kind of build. And of course, there's going to be prizes for folks that are getting together and kind of like learning how to use it. Mainly, it's about getting together in a room with local community, building together, learning how to kind of vibe code to the next level, and yeah, learning along the way.
Awesome. Somebody asked me, the guy who built the personality feature. I just dropped the YouTube video in the chat. I love that example. I just like this so much. It was so good. I remember seeing it and I was like, yeah, Yusuf, you got it, bro. It's exactly it, man. Like, you get to like build whatever you want on top of your data, whether that's Notion, HubSpot, Clay. Okay, like, what can you do with that? And then also, how do you make that available to your team, and how do you monetize that? There's just so much there. Let's see here. Okay, cool. Anything else that we want to call out, Francisco?
No, that seems about the big ones for right now.
Okay, cool. We'll keep going. If you've got a really pressing question that we missed, please drop it again in the chat. There's a lot of like great stuff coming in, which is awesome, but we're missing some of it too. Okay, so let me go back here to sharing my screen. Okay, I love going on detours. That's great. You know, if you want me to go to something else, please let me know. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to show you was my a dashboard. Our dashboard here we worked on last week. And so here, if you remember, the idea here was, hey, if I'm in HubSpot and I've got all the deals here, all right, that's okay. That's kind of cool, but this is kind of boring, you know. Let's say I'm a fun sales manager and I want to make things fun and exciting, and I want my team to get really pumped up about hitting their numbers. How would I do that? And so I would say, like, hey, how about we put together an ESPN style type of dashboard that's really going to get the team excited about building or selling rather. So here is that application. So let's see here. Actually, I got to go back. And before I forget, let me actually drop this in here, because this is the template for this sales dashboard. So if you want to get a head start and get all of this and jump off from this point, Replit makes it really easy with these templates. You can remix it. You can click here on remix, and you can create your own version of this. Now it's going to be a little tricky for you, because you're not going to have all of the HubSpot data that I have to power this. You can do one of two things. You can connect it to your own data. You can probably figure out a way to to pull in the CSV and still put it in the app and still see what it does. Or you can ask me to go through in detail how to get this set up with HubSpot and how to set up the data in HubSpot so you see exactly what I'm seeing. Put it in the chat. You let me know where you want to take this. So if I go to my apps and I go to the sales dashboard here. Okay, so now this is my build here. And so again, like I'm a sales manager, I want to keep this fun and exciting. How do I do that? I like sports. My team likes sports. Everybody loves sports. So let's put together a sports theme dashboard for this. So again, this is the Replit development environment. If I'm going to make any changes, I go in here and say, hey, change this. But for now, I just want to see what this is going to look like when I deploy it on my big screen in my sales office. So again, I'm going to go here to the dev URL. I'm going to pull that up and I'm going to have this nice little dashboard. And again, I get to pick this. Like I want to see, like when I come to this dashboard, I want to see biggest deals, most deals, trending, and who's doing that. So here I can see that Jennifer Kim got like a really big deal. Awesome. David Park got some most deals, got 2. And then I want to go to my leaderboard. So David Park killing it. He's on a hot streak. 2 closed deals in this period. I got to go up to David. I got to go congratulate him. But then I think like, all right, what was the other deal? I know he had 1 deal last week. What about, what's this other one that is referring to? I want to check that out. So now I can double click on this and I can say like, okay, so like he actually for this whole like period, he has 7 deals closed. And here's that deal in HubSpot. So again, like I'm going back to my source of truth because this is where all the data lives. And HubSpot is great for this. HubSpot's got the data model for all of your accounts and all of your deals and all of your activity. We're just building on top of that. So we still want to come back here to the single source of truth. And I get to come back and like look at all the details and really like see what's going on here. And so I thought like, okay, so, and then we have these little ticker things here, giving you some updates. And then, the other thing I was thinking is like, like in sales, whenever you land a deal, you have like a ring the bell type of event, right? Like if you've been in a sales team, like you land a deal, you're ringing that bell. That's awesome. So I thought, what would be the equivalent of ringing the bell in my dashboard? And I came up with this little concept so that the idea is like on the big screen, whenever someone closes a deal, you're gonna get like this kind of like massive, like kind of like pop up with like sounds and noise and everything, and like maybe like something about the deal. I think that would be kind of cool. So just gamifying it and make it cool and interesting. So that's the template. I just dropped that in the chat. Feel free to kick things off. And what I thought would be interesting is like to think about like, okay, how might I make this? How might I build on this? And again, like the idea is like, I'm here and I'm like, okay, wouldn't it be cool if, wouldn't it be helpful if, and that's kind of like, what I want you to be asking yourself. And I thought like, I think it would be helpful if in addition to seeing how people are doing, like in general, in terms of closing deals, also see it by category type. So in the past, I've been part of sales orgs and we have a campaign or targets for a particular period. So this period is going to be all about platform services. This period is going to be all about additional platform licenses, or we're going to really focus on the airline space or on heavy machinery. And so I thought like it would be cool to be able to track it by type, by deal type. And so what I like to do is I just kind of like to build with you and kind of show you and walk you through that process in terms of how to do that. So I'm here in this template. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remix this because I don't want to change this for you. I'm going to create a version of this, and I'm also going to show you how to remix it so you can see that process. So that and take this template, and I'm just saying like Manny demo Z, live stream. And I can make it private or public. I'm going to pay the account core so I can make it private. Otherwise, it has to be public for you. And I'm going to remix that. And now I'm going to have a fresh version of this to work with. And this makes it great for me to be able to share the things that I'm building with you. And I try to do this regularly. And it also makes it easier for you to just jump off from where I am right here. Now, you're not going to get the same experience because you don't have your HubSpot account hooked up and you don't have the HubSpot data plugged into this application. But you can walk through that and I can show you how to do that. I already have this set up so you can see that all the data is already populating. And so when I'm thinking about building a new feature, I think about, okay, like what level of difficulty is this going to be? And so like this new feature of like a new segment by deal type, I think like, not quite easy, but not terribly hard either. Kind of like somewhere in the middle. I have another feature that I was thinking about, which is a new icon banner. So if you go here and you see the ticker here, instead of having these emojis, I want to have the actual picture of the salesperson going through. I think that would be cooler. And so that to me is that's pretty easy. That's pretty straightforward. So if it's this, then I'll just go into build mode and just start building. So this is build mode. But this, I'll take the time to try to plan things out a little bit more. And again, it's just sort of this go slow to go fast kind of concept, and jump in and start off with the conversation with my agent. So let me make sure that I am in the right build. Okay, perfect. That's why we name them that way. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, and let me make this a little bit bigger here. I have a couple of different modes here in Replit. I have build mode, which is automatically going to start building. And I have edit mode. You can click on something and change the text. So if you click on this text, you can change the formatting, the verbiage. Nice, easy way to make changes. And then you have plan mode. I love plan mode. This was released like maybe 3 weeks ago, and I was so happy about it because me and some other folks were talking about how we were having to do this manually by telling agent like, don't code anything, like just like plan for right now. And so now we have like a straight up plan mode, which is great. And it might say something to the effect of this of saying, okay, testing. Okay, let me make sure that's working. Okay, perfect. So all right. So I would like to add some new functionality where I want to be able to track the type of deal over time by a salesperson. So there are different types of sales that are happening here. I think there's like an enterprise sale. There's a platform sale type. How do I track that? What do you recommend? Do you think I should add this to the existing UI, or should I create a new tab? Give me a little bit of guidance here.
And while some of those comments drop in, oh, sorry about that. Looks like it's already thinking. For question for later is, when you created that dashboard, did you upload an image mock-up of the layout, or was that all text prompt? So anyways, we can kind of come back to that later.
Okay, what I did here is I went into GPT-5 and I asked it for an image of like a really cool sales dashboard. And I looked it over, like, yes, that's kind of what I want, that style. And then I think I used that image as reference into the original prompt. And so, the nice thing about, again, so like, when you go into those prompts, like the more context, typically the better. So if you go into Replit and you go back here, I can drop this image in there and say like, sales dashboard, reference the image for styling. And then it will do that. You can also just drop large chunks of text. And then, I think if I recall correctly, what I did is I had like a pretty good prompt that's pretty detailed in terms of what I wanted. And then I mocked up like a quick image just to kind of like see what I want. Because, honestly, I don't know what I want either at the beginning. And so I'm going to different images, like, oh yeah, that's the one I want. Okay, then I put it into Replit and say like, okay, this prompt, this app that does these things functionally, and then check out this image. I really like this image. Try to incorporate that into the design. And Replit does an amazing job of that. Like, I am oftentimes just like dumbfounded in terms of how like the fidelity from image in terms of what I put in there, like UI, to what it cranks out is like I don't believe it. It's crazy. So let me close that out. And so that's the route that I went there. close these out because I have too many windows here. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
So, yeah. All right. So then and pretty much what I'm doing is I'm trying to educate myself because I don't know this either. Again, I'm a vibe coder. I don't know like the data models and all that. I don't know what I should be doing, but AI has a pretty good sense of this. This is not a new problem for AI. And so I'm saying like, hey, like I have, AI says like it has a recommendation for me. You're already tracking deal types, perfect, in the data model, awesome. So we can have like a different dashboard, sales rep details. My recommendation is to add, and here's to add a new deal analytics or sales insight page rather than cramming it into an existing dashboard. Okay, that's super helpful. And it's going to give me some focus. Like, why is this better? Focus analysis, better user experience, scalability, navigation. This is like having like a top tier architect in your pocket educating you on what you should be building. And you're getting educated on how to do this. So the next time you talk to an engineer, you're going to have more knowledge on this. This is astounding. Okay, then okay, what would you like to see on the page? Time-based charts, sales represent comparisons. Okay, what does it want me to do? So I could just say like, okay, great recommendation. I appreciate that. Yeah, go ahead and build that and take a first crack at it. And you tell me, based on your recommendation, what do you think is helpful? And yes, I agree that having a separate tab around deals and deal analytics, that's the right route to go. And if you notice, like I'm not giving it precise guidance. Like I'm not exactly like putting together like a detailed essay here. It's like I'm talking to another person here, which is crazy. Like, and here's like the transcription and like it's all over the place. But AI, it's like talking to a person and knows what I want. It's like, okay, perfect. Like, okay, awesome, Manny. Like, I got your plan. Here's what we're gonna do. Blah blah blah. And then because I'm in plan mode, it's gonna come back and say like, okay, Manny, like, can I start planning now? And I can say, yeah, looks good. Do it. Plan this. Go ahead and transition into build mode and build this out. Okay. I want to show you. I did this earlier today. Before the live stream, I did a kind of took a stab at this. So I want to show you the end product there, but I also want to take questions. We're already at time. Can you believe it, Francisco?
This is fast. Great. Very impressive.
It's gone by. Here's the warning, guys and gals. When you start vibe coding, it can get a little addictive. Okay, once you start seeing this come to life, and once you start building your own software, you might start today. You might go through the entire weekend vibe coding your application. So, Francisco, let me know if you see any cool comments or questions that we should address. Somebody asked, where is the voice input coming in? Okay, I'm using a tool called Whisperflow, and essentially Whisperflow is a transcription application. And so I will just initiate that with the shortcut. It'll come up and say, hey, this is a response. Somebody asking what software I'm using, Whisperflow. And then I end it, and then it drops in here. Sorry, it's not Whisperflow. It's actually Super Whisper. Super Whisper. There is another service called Whisperflow. But I would highly recommend that you get yourself one of these transcription services, because as you can see, it's like I'm having a conversation with another person, and I'm just like dropping it in there, and we're kind of going back and forth. I think eventually, it's going to be, and I wouldn't put it past the Replit team to have this out like in a couple of weeks, but I think eventually that'll be natively within the application itself. And it's not just going to be repeating the text. It's almost going to be like, you're going to give me the detailed text and then going to summarize the text for me. So it's going to say like, hey, Manny, like, here's all the things that I'm doing. Check this out. Like analytics API point, blah, blah, blah. So it's going to be like the AI is going to be generating the code and giving me the detailed output, but also going to give me commentary on top of that in a very natural type of way. That's where I see it all going. And so, but yeah, in the meantime, Super Whisper is what I use, and then there's a bunch of other transcription services that you can leverage as well.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm actually a huge fan of it, not just for Replit, but just in general when I'm writing out emails or anything else like messages. I live on Slack a lot, and it's been very, very helpful to kind of just, transcribe and just edit as I go. So yeah, very, very awesome. And then someone mentioned, yeah, like it can get addicting. Absolutely. I think Raymar is still in the chat, may not be, but I get messages from him late nights on weekends and during other times when he's building and kind of getting things up and going. So yes, please be careful, and it's always just so much fun when you dive in.
I think I joke around. I tell Replit they should put a warning label on the Replit on the landing page saying, "Warning: This is an addictive product. Be careful." Maybe like to do like a couple, maybe 3 hours when you're first vibe coding, because it's going to be easy to get stuck there. I know people that you get such a rush after that first build that like they just go like for a week and they like crank out so many great apps. It's like it's really, really awesome to see. Somebody's asking a good place to get tutorials on how to use Replit. First of all, Matt Palmer does an amazing job. I think he is one of like the best technical communicators out there. Replit's so lucky to have him. But if you go to Replit's YouTube channel, follow them on X, follow Matt Palmer on YouTube and on X, he is continually cranking out some really cool tutorials on how to use Replit. And what I love about Matt's content is that it's not just Replit based. I think he takes the time to tell you about all of the key things that you should be knowing about as a vibe coder. So whether that's what our database is, what's authentication, what does security look like, and he happens to use Replit in that context. But I just learned so much, like in addition to how to use Replit. And of course, when something new comes out on Replit, he's going to have the lowdown on that as well. But I think Matt does a phenomenal job. Check him out, his the YouTube channel for Replit. And then you can check out my channels as well. If you go to mannybernabe.com, I've got all of my channels there. I'm pretty active on YouTube and on LinkedIn. So I try to share builds, tutorials, templates. So if you're into, and it's a lot of it's Replit based. So if you're into that, definitely check out those resources and give me a follow on YouTube and LinkedIn and X.
Yeah, we also have a.
Look, this is somebody here.
Oh, whoops! Yes, very addicting. I completely agree.
I'm telling you. Somebody saying I'm day 65. Sorry, Francis, go ahead.
You're good. This is awesome. It's great to see. We have a community discourse where you can also get an invitation and kind of get together with other builders. Our Reddit community is also growing. We're also kind of like finding new ways to support it. So the Replit Reddit community is great. Andrew, I believe it's Davidson, who does Replit Builders, which is a subreddit, a newsletter, and a small community as well, has an amazing kind of curated group of folks that are always kind of building and helping each other out. And also Replit Builders on X with Victor. He has community office hours where he kind of opens up his calendar, and like if you have anything you specifically want help with or anything kind of along those lines, he will kind of jump on a call with you and kind of work it through with you. And it's totally free. It's like he's just trying to give back to the community. And on that note, I got a couple of questions on the community side. Are we going to have any events on the East Coast anytime soon? Yes, we actually just had an event with Revenue Cat this past Wednesday. The team was super excited just to kind of meet some of our power users, and we're hoping to have one over there as well, probably New York City before the end of the year within like the Replit office there. And then in terms of events moving forward, there's a question here just on a weekly basis. Yes, we actually love to make this live stream more of a kind of a weekly, cadence. And one of the things that we're working on right now is kind of just like building out some of the infrastructure, kind of making sure we understand what people want to see. Please let us know in the comments what you like to see. I think we're hearing a lot of requests for kind of like more like live builds and the kind of like actual examples of us kind of building as we go. Today was kind of a little bit more of a, I guess a trial into that area. So expect that kind of coming up very, very soon. And we probably will do a break, if not this coming week, the following week. But after that, I love to kind of do it on a weekly basis. We're kind of like ideating with Manny. Earlier this week, we were just kind of jamming together and thinking about, what could be cool? What could we do next? So yeah, please let us know. But yes, much more to come very, very soon.
Definitely. And this is sort of a newer motion for us, and we want to hear your feedback. So what did you like about this stream? Check out the previous streams that we've done. what parts really resonated with you. We're gonna send a follow-up email after this with the recording and a link to the template. You can respond to that and say, like, Manny and Francisco, really love that you covered this. This was awesome. And so the more that we hear from you, the better that we can fine tune this to have this be like the best, most valuable hour of your whole week. That's what I ultimately would aim for with these streams.
Absolutely. Yeah. More to come soon.
With that, there's a bunch of comments there as well. Like around like Replit being addictive. So check that out. And so this is what I did earlier. I just want to show you the end result. So it's still cooking. And the other thing is, you can change the autonomy here. I think I had it on low. Okay. So here is from earlier today. So here's the service analytics tab. So now, what agent recommended is to have two separate components here. And I asked the same question earlier, and I said, yeah, go ahead and do it. And now, so I have like this separate tab, separate service analytics, and I can see here, like, okay, for this quarter, in terms of revenue, okay, I have that, that's fine. But platform licenses, number 1. Okay, cool. Which deals? Who? Okay, I got Jennifer Kim, David Park, platform licenses. Okay, managed services. Who's closing these deals? Yes, David. That's the focus for this quarter. Thank you, David, for doing that. Integration services. Average deal size, number of deals. Who's doing it? Jennifer Kim. Awesome. Maybe she needs more support. Implementation services. So this is one prompt. And so this is what I mean. Like, again, you want to build something. Just start with building the most simplest thing you can. That's most like functional and interesting. And then just say, like, it would be cool if, wouldn't it be awesome if, it would be helpful if, my team might find it helpful if, I would impress my boss if I could do this. And then you just ask yourself those questions, and you're going to come up with like so many things that you can build. With that, I think, Francisco, should we start closing it out? I think we're over time already.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But yeah, thank everyone. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's been too much fun. That's kind of what we talk about.
Time is just going by. Okay, cool. So I've got last requests for everybody. Again, give us your feedback. Post it on X, LinkedIn. Tell us. You can DM me. You can send us emails. But I would just have one like core action item for all of you. And I think it's time to build. Like, again, I go back to this concept that everybody is a builder now. And if you really want to understand what this phenomenon is about, then there's no replacement for you actually getting in Replit and building something yourself. To really understand this and to really appreciate it, you have to have something come to life. So I encourage you to do that. I think you can do that one of two ways. As I suggested earlier, sit down and brainstorm. What have been the most tedious parts of your week? What would be cool to build? How would you impress someone? How would you impress your boss? What would you want to share with someone? What is the application that you would want to see out in the world? I spoke to a 60-year-old guy. He wanted an NFL draft analyzer or simulator. He built it himself. So get those questions. Just spend 5 to 10 minutes jotting out all those different ideas. Take those suggestions, put them into ChatGPT or Claude, and go through the different options and think about which ones are hard, which ones are easy. Pick one, break it down, say like, oh, okay, what components do I need? And then say, give me a prompt so that I can build this out in Replit. Take that prompt, put it in Replit, use the prompt optimizer, and just start chatting with Replit agent. Have a conversation like you saw me do, just back and forth. So this is like the easy, like this should be the easy route for you. And I'm asking all of you, especially if you've never vibe coded, please take 1 hour before the end of the week to do this. It might change your life. And I'm trying not to be hyperbolic on this, but I've seen it enough times that it will potentially alter your career and where things are heading for you. So just take 1 hour to take action and to do this. If you're already an experienced builder, then what you can do is you can take that template that I share with everybody and you can try to make it your own. So you can put in your own data. You can connect it to HubSpot. You can add on to it and you can kind of take it from there. But either way, I want you, like, by the end of this week, at least spend 1 hour in Replit building this out. And whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that you build, whatever it is that you learn, I want you to share it with us, share it on LinkedIn, share it on X, tag me, tag Replit, and would love to see what you build. And I already know there's someone in the audience that is just going to rip through the weekend on something they're going to start today. If that's you, definitely post that on X and LinkedIn on Monday. I want to see what you build. Because I already know by, like, just the probabilities. I've seen it enough times. Like, there's somebody in this audience that is going to build something amazing on Monday, if not sooner. And it's going to be the first thing they build, and you're going to be so pumped about it. So if that's you, definitely share that and definitely tag me. I want to see it.
Awesome. Yeah, we can't wait to see it. And again, thank you all so much for joining. We really appreciate it. It was like awesome to see all the comments and everything else in between. It was absolutely great. So thank you so much. We'll be sending out an email soon. Feel free to reply there with any suggestions or feedback. And then if we're not back next week, the week after, we'll for sure kind of kick back up. Awesome, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you,
so much.
Francisco. See you next week.
Thank you, man.